wonder, as you sit here today and you're thinking about 2023 and the year that just passed, and you're looking forward to 2024 and the year that lies ahead, how are you feeling about the last day of 2023? Good? Yeah? All right? Are you here today, as you think about looking back at the past year, highlights, lowlights? Was it a year to remember, or is it a year that you would like to forget? A number of years ago, I did I gave Deb an anniversary gift, and part of the process was I looked back at every year. It was our 25th anniversary, and every year, and trying to kind of like identify something about that year that was unique. And some of the years are easy. It's like, the years that each of our kids were born, years that we made major moves in our lives, major events. But sometimes it's like the years, it's like, what happened in 1988? Is there anything like really notable or memorable that stands out about that year? And so, we're at that transition point from one year into another year. And as you look back at this year, is this a year that has something significant about it? And as you think about tomorrow, as you think about the beginning of a new year, the beginning of, 2024, is it really 2024? Can that be true? Wasn't it just like Y2K? I don't know what's going on. As you think about 2024, do you enter a new year full of hope and expectation and anticipation, and it's like, I can't, wait to get a new start on a new year? Or are you going into the year with a sense of dread? Like, oh man, what, you already know things are coming or things are happening, and you're just kind of like, stuff's hanging over your head. If it's hope, what's the ticket of your hope? What is it that it's like you're looking forward? It's like, I'm looking forward to 2024 because of this. Because I'm waiting or hoping for, or believing in, or anticipating that this year is going to be marked by this, or this is going to happen. And if you're walking into the year with a sense of dread, what's the baggage that you're carrying with you that gives you that weight, that sense of, another year? Are we doing this again? In 2015, I came across an annual event that takes place every year in Times Square, and it's not the ball drop on New Year's Eve. It's actually an event that takes place this week prior to the ball drop. It's called Good Riddance Day. Good Riddance Day. Good Riddance Day is a day that a company called Shred It and Forget It takes their mobile shredding trucks into Times Square and invites people to come and write down on a piece of paper things that they want to shred and forget from the past year, so that they can leave those things behind and move into a new year free of dread. Their tagline is this: offering a fresh start for the new year by destroying any and all unpleasant, embarrassing, and downright forgettable memories from the past year to pave the way for new memories in the new year. To shred it and forget it. And I'm struck by then and now by the popularity of the event, that it draws people into Times Square to go through this exercise of writing something down, and then putting it into the shredder so that they can leave it behind them. Not struck by the fact that people have things that they would like to leave behind, that they would like to shred and forget, but struck by the desire that people have to do something that embodies that experience. Kind of like, when a therapist tells you to talk to an empty chair. If you have something to say to someone and you can't say it to them, to talk to them, to actually go through this exercise of doing it to liberate yourself or free yourself from it. And while I think it's a really cool idea, I find that people aren't very good at forgetting things that they want to forget. I find that a lot of us are really good at forgetting things we want to remember. Right? But forgetting things that we want to forget, somehow the things that we want to forget seem to be really, really sticky. And many of the things that we like to forget have attachments to them, dangling participles, things that even if when we forget them, there's like other things that come alongside of them that remind us of the things that we want to forget. Things like, okay, I'd like to forget that post that I put on Instagram, but people saw it and they remember it, even if I'd like to forget it, and they still hold it against me. I'd like to forget the money that I spent on all of my Christmas gifts outside of my budget. I would like to just shred it and forget it. But if you shred that credit card bill, when it comes, another one comes the next month with interest. And if you shred that one, another one comes. And then the credit card, the debt collectors talk, they don't let go. You might like to shred that doctor's report, but what it says is still there. God offers us something better than good riddance. He offers us redemption. So in 2015, when I first encountered this idea of shred it and forget it, of Good Riddance Day, I declared this Sunday, the Sunday between Christmas and New Year's Day, forever in the Journey family, not Good Riddance Day, but Good Redemption Day. Good Redemption Day. So every year since 2015, we've come together on this Sunday for Good Redemption. This is the 9th annual Good Redemption Sunday. I wonder how many of you remember that this is Good Redemption Sunday. Like, we're 9 years into this. Yeah, a few of you. Good, all right? Next year is going to be the 10th anniversary. I want you to remember that this is Good Redemption Sunday. What is Good Redemption Sunday? Redemption, most notably now, when we most often encounter the word, we probably don't even look at it anymore, but when we buy any kind of recycle bottle, it has a CRV note on it, cash redemption value. When you buy a Coke in the bottle that comes in, if it's a 20 ounce or less, it's a 5 cents cash redemption. If it's one of the 2-liter bottles, it's a 10-cent cash redemption. You pay for that when you buy the bottle. And then if you go to the place where they actually buy them back, the cash redemption centers, they will give you that nickel back or that dime back. Most of us don't do that. Most of us either take it to the recycler or we just put it in the recycle bin and the city gets the 5 cents or the 10 cents. But they're buying it back, redemption. It's the word that Jesus used or that the scriptures used to describe what Jesus accomplished for us, what Jesus did for us on the cross. Paul says in Galatians chapter 3, Christ has redeemed us, bought us back from the curse pronounced by the law. When he was hung on the cross, he took upon himself the curse for our wrongdoing. He paid the penalty, paid the price for our sin, which sold us into bondage. He bought us back out of that. So David says, blessed is the one whose transgressions are forgiven, whose sins are covered. Blessed is the one whose sin the Lord does not count against them, and in whose spirit there is no deceit. While forgetting can be a very elusive exercise for us, redemption is freeing. Redemption is liberating. Redemption frees us from the burden of guilt. David says in Psalm 32, goes on to say, when I kept silent, my bones wasted away through my groaning all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy on me. My strength was sapped as in the heat of summer. Carrying the weight, the guilt, the shame of sin weighs on it. Then he says, then I acknowledged my sin to you. I did not cover it up. I said, I will confess my transgressions to the Lord, and you forgave the guilt of my sin. You forgave the guilt. You lifted the burden off of me. I don't have to carry it anymore. There may still be a price to pay on earth for the things that we have done, for the post, for the debt. We still have to pay it on earth. But because of God's redemption, there is no longer hell to pay. Is that enough? More than that, not only does God lift the guilt off of us, he becomes our advocate in it. The part that we still have to pay on earth, the things that we still have to go through, the things that we still have to live with because of the things that we've done, it's no longer this weight bearing down on us from heaven, but now we have the life of God and the love of God lifting us up and helping us through the things that we still have to go through. Freedom from the guilt of sin. Freedom from the paralyzing grip of regret. Isaiah says, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. The prophet Isaiah says, not deny the former things, not pretend it didn't happen, not shred it and forget it, but don't dwell on the past. Don't live in it. Don't fix your thoughts and your mind and your attention to that. But just not thinking about something is one of those, it's like forgetting things, right? We don't forget things that we'd like to forget. We don't forget things that we're thinking about either. If we want to think something different, we have to think about something else. Isaiah says God's making a way. He's opening up a path in front of you. Don't dwell on the past. Look towards the future. Look towards a new thing. Regret locks us into that part of our story. Redemption invites us to move beyond by dwelling on, by looking forward to something in the future. Redemption frees us from the shadows of shame. Isaiah again says, do not be afraid. You will not be put to shame. Do not fear disgrace. You will not be humiliated. You will forget the shame of your youth and remember no more the reproach of your widowhood. See, the things that we do the sin, the guilt, causes shame. And shame's power is in its secrecy. It's in this sense that if anybody else knows what you're thinking, what you've done, what you're feeling, they would judge you. They would condemn you. They would reject you. Don't let the cat out of the bag. Keep the closet door closed. No one can know. And the secrecy, the shame buries us in that space. when we discover the things that we are ashamed of, when we realize that that is no longer the verdict on us because of redemption, because Jesus paid the price for that, bought us back out of that, when it's no longer the verdict on us. And often isn't even the truth about us. We can speak it. And when we can speak it, we break its power over us. When we speak what's been lurking in the shadows, when we bring it out into the light of day, we are freed from it. We are freed from guilt, freed from shame, freed from regret, set free then to the future. One person said, forgiveness prevents us from getting stuck in the bad part of our stories and opens the door for a new ending. Forgiveness takes us out of that place and opens the door for a new future. So Paul says, I've got my eyes on the goal, where God is beckoning us onward to Jesus. I'm off and running, and I'm not turning back. We can move forward because of redemption. While we might like to forget, redemption makes restoration possible. And restoration is better than forgetting. See, when they buy back the bottles from us, they don't trash them. They recycle them. They take the old stuff and they do something new with it. This is a total side note to this, but I just want you to know, those of you who live in Lakewood, and they started making us recycle our compost now, like not just put our green stuff in there, they actually tell us to put our food scraps in there. And it's like, what a pain that is to take your food scraps. And it's like, and really, I've had a dozen people tell me that what they really do with that is they just take it to the dump and they put it with everything else. Anyway, they're just doing it because the state's making them do it. It's like, then why would I go through all the nonsense of shaving my scraps? So I actually asked the garbage guy, hey, do you guys just dump this with all the other stuff? And they don't. They actually are taking that stuff and they're making biodiesel fuel from those scraps. They're doing something with the waste. That's a good thing, right? Okay, it's an aside, but it's an illustration for this story, right? What are we doing with this garbage through redemption? When they take it back, God doesn't waste pain. He doesn't waste the pain that we brought on ourselves because of the stupid stuff that we've said and the stupid stuff that we've done and all the regrets and the shame. He doesn't waste the pain that we have brought on ourselves. He doesn't waste the pain that has been inflicted upon us by other people either. Right? Sometimes we're just victims of other people's dumb stuff and other people's actions. And he doesn't waste it. And he doesn't waste the pain of inhabiting a broken world. Right? Stuff happens just because we live in a world that has fallen apart. Sin, sickness, disease, disaster. Paul says, we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. In everything that we experience, that we brought on ourselves, that we inflicted upon us, or just happened because of the world that we live in, Paul doesn't say God causes it. He says God uses it for those of us who belong to him, those of us who have been redeemed, reclaimed, restored by him, he takes it all and he uses it for our good. That is redemption. And when he uses it, then he uses it to teach us. We learn from it. The prudent Solomon says, see danger and take refuge. But the simple keep going and pay the penalty. I'm not a fan of having to learn everything the hard way. I know a lot of people who say that, the only way we learn things is when we, the hard way. I would actually like to personally learn things not from my mistakes. I would like to learn them from your mistakes. As often as possible. Not that I want you to make mistakes, but when you make them, I want to learn from them so I don't have to do it. But by all means, when I do make the mistake, I would like to learn from my mistakes, and I would actually like you to learn from my mistakes so you don't have to go through it. But there are lessons in the good and the bad and the ugly of our lives. And when we learn from those experiences, God grows us as his followers, as his sons and his daughters, as his people, to be better human beings, to avoid the traps of the past, to move into new mistakes and new lessons and new learnings rather than just repeating the old ones over and over and over again. We learn from it. Redemption, through redemption, we're shaped by the things that we've gone through the things that we've experienced. Paul says we rejoice in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope, and hope does not disappoint us because God has poured out his love into our hearts by the Holy Spirit. The things that we go through shape us into the people that we become. I did an exercise a number of years ago. I commend it to you. Is a timeline exercise. And what you do is you take these Post-it notes, just like, the little Post-it notes, and you just remember all the things in your life. Key moments, transitions, stuff that's happened, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Start writing things, all of your memories down. Just start writing each individual experience, memory, person, relationship on a Post-it note. And after you have about 50, 75 of them, put them in chronological order on a poster board. And after you put them on a chronological order, so now you have all these experiences on a poster board, and you can do it like through seasons of your life, then go back through and take all the ones that have pain involved in them, and put it on a yellow Post-it note first, then replace it with a pink Post-it note on your timeline. And after you've done this exercise, then look at your timeline, and what you'll see, I promise, I've done this exercise myself 3 times, and I've done it with many other people, that you will find on your timeline series of pink Post-it notes, seasons of pain. And when you start to look at your life and say, where did I learn? How have I grown? What are the things that made me into the person that I have become today? You will always see that those things come out of those seasons of pain, out of the heartache, out of the pain. It shapes us into who we become. Some people say no pain, no gain. I did a sermon series last year, actually, that you can actually go through pain and not gain. You can. Not everybody learns from their pain. Some people just keep going back to the same well over and over again. Redemption is the process to pain that gains. Learning the lessons, paying attention, observing where we've been and what's happened and what God has done through it. And then what I think is the most profound thing about this whole process is that when we learn and we allow our redemption to shape us, we actually then become people who serve through it. Paul says the God of all comfort comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves have received from God. People admire and sometimes resent the things that we do really, really well. Like, oh, you're so good at that. You're so awesome at that. And, I wish I was better at that. People admire, respect, and maybe resent the things that we do well. But it is our weakness that people connect with. It's when people see that we're going through the same kinds of things that they are going through that we bond with other people. That they see something in us that gives them hope for themselves. Because we've been through something that they're going through. And they're not alone in it now. And if we've been through it and we've come out the other side, then they actually have the opportunity to, it gives them hope. They made it. I can make it too. It's in our weakness that people see the power of God to heal and to restore and to comfort and to encourage and to strengthen. It's in our weakness that people see the sufficiency of the grace of God, that it is enough. Because they went through it, and God held them together. I can go through it knowing that God will hold me together. Vulnerability is contagious. When we share our hurts and our aches and our pains, it gives other people permission to share their hurts and their aches and their pains. And it invites them out of their shame to bring it into the light of day, to give them the hope and the healing. And ultimately, as we comfort those with the comfort that we've received, and people see God at work in our lives, God receives glory for it. We now have this light shining in our hearts. But we ourselves are like fragile clay jars containing this great treasure. This makes it clear that our great power is not from God. It is from God, not from ourselves. Treasures in jars of clay that have been broken and put back together. And the light shines through the cracks. And it's in the cracks and the light shining people through that people see the life of God and the love of God and the glory of God shining out of our lives. And to God goes the glory. I was a incredibly shy kid. I was afraid to talk to my shadow. And my mom told me a number of years ago that because she knew who I was as a kid, when she watches me speak every Sunday, hi Mom, love you, miss you, that she sees God, not me, because she knows the kid. She remembers the broken jar. There was this poor, timid, shy kid. You guys don't know that about me. You think, oh, he does this every Sunday. It's easy for him. It's not. But God is at work in my life through pain, shame, and brokenness, and healing, and restoration, and redemption. And he's doing the same thing in the life of his children who have been redeemed by him and are being restored by him. Redemption checks your baggage so you don't have to lug it around. and it upgrades your hope as you move into a new year. So I'm going to give you an exercise, and it is for your consideration. See, up to now, everything that I've given you today is just information. It will not help you at all, promise you. It will not help you one bit if you just go home with the information I've given you. But if you hear my appeal, invitation to redemption, then you take this little worksheet that I've given you at the bottom of your notes home with you this week, and you actually take some time to reflect on your past year and to look forward to the coming year and invite God into that space. God will do in your life everything that I've been talking about. Using good riddance, the Good Riddance Day invitation, what's unpleasant, embarrassing, and downright forgettable from 2023. What would you like to forget? What would you like to forget? Answer the question. What would you like to forget? And after you've answered the question, ask God. Not yourself. Don't ask yourself. Ask God, what do you want me to remember? Bring the thoughts back to my mind. Bring the memories back. What do you want me to remember from this past year that you want to redeem? David, in Psalm 139, says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me and lead me in the way everlasting." Ask God to do the search. Anxious thoughts. I found that's a great window into my pain and shame. Where am I anxious? Where am I anxious? God, show me my anxious thoughts. Are there things that I need to confess? Sin that I need to put at the feet, at the foot of the cross and embrace God's forgiveness? Are there people I need to forgive? Right? Am I holding a debt against somebody else and I'm carrying baggage that's locked me into that person in ways that are not setting me free from them and to love them? Are there people I need to forgive? Are there agreements that I need to break? Are there things that have happened to me, and because that happened, I've said, I will never allow this to happen again by what? By pushing people away. By protecting myself. Are there vows that you've made that you need to break? Are there wounds that you need God to heal? Right? We can't heal ourselves. God offers us healing and restoration. Are there lessons I need to learn from my experience? Is there shame I need to bring into the light of day? If you have shame, if there's something in your life that nobody knows and it's weighing on you, who are you going to tell? Who will you tell? Because when you speak the words, you take a step towards freedom. And you invite somebody else to be vulnerable. Is there a testimony that I need to share? Are there things that I've been through that someone else needs to know about to give them hope, to give them encouragement, to give them the blessing, and to give God the glory? You can do this any way you want. Do the exercise, write it down. Take 30 minutes. Write it on a piece of paper. You can either take it after you've done it, offer it to the Lord, ask Him to redeem it. You can shred it, not forget it. Allow God to redeem it. Or, I like this idea better. Fold it up in a pocket. Put it in the pocket of your clothes, and then wash it. And after you've washed it, then put it in the recycling bin. Not the trash bin, Put it in the recycling bin, symbolizing God's cleansing. Whatever it is that we're seeking his redemption for, and entrusting it then to what he wants to do with us in our lives and through our stories out of that space and out of those experiences and out of that pain and out of that shame. That's where the redemption happens, not in listening, but in doing. Lord, thank you that you are a God who loves, a God who made us for relationship, a God who, even when we turned our back on you in ways that created separation between us and you, set a weight upon us, that you gave us your Son to restore us to a relationship with you. Thank you for the promise that you take all this stuff that happened and happens when we're walking away from you and walking without you, and you use it in our lives and in the lives of other people to heal and to restore, to set free, to bring glory to you.